Okay, great. How many of you joined? Just let me check quickly. How many? Anybody can confirm me? Zoom has a, okay, 10 participants. That's great. Good number. Thank you. So, hey team, my name is Pansaleshwar Nayak, and this is my effort to train the community, and I have been doing for last 3 years. Every year I conduct this time because I get some time. So I thought I'll doing some community service. And this year I thought of doing a little formally, which I started a group called East Coast DevOps Group. So that's here is the logo. I just created it from my own, all the East Coast of America. So that's I was part of different DevOps groups in my career. So I thought, okay, let me start a group myself and help people, right? So well, this is the first session. I don't know what is going on. Something is wrong in the visit that my Mac is behaving a little differently. Okay, great. So, and how we're going to do it. This is, again, sponsored by a company called BigOpenCloud. So that is, so though this is the right side, East Coast DevOps Group is a nonprofit group, it will be. And the left side, anybody, in fact, I would invite any company or anybody, if they want to present in this forum, their sessions, I'll welcome to do that, because East Coast DevOps Group will be a public forum. Anybody can present, anybody can teach. It is not just me or anybody. But because this is starting myself, so I thought left side, that is BigOpenCloud. This is a new startup, and that is so this company is sponsoring this training. Okay, so without much delay, I'll start. So let's have today's agenda. A little introduction about ourselves, which I am doing now. And I'll give some introduction about AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional Certification course, what it is, what is required, how we get the certification, how we can prepare effectively. And little introduction to DevOps as well. If you attended last year's sessions, then I have already taken some session on DevOps and AWS Cloud. So I believe this will be a repetition for you if you have attended. But if you have not, then I'll give some introduction about DevOps. Then I'll explain what will be the course structure for this certification course. And we'll have little hands-on too. Most of our sessions will be hands-on. I'll not just speak or present, but half or maybe more than half of my session will be hands-on. Then we'll have a Q&A session also toward the end, and we'll try to have all this covered in 1 hour. Today we have lost maybe some 10 minutes earlier, but we'll start next time. We'll start exactly at 6 and we'll exactly finish at 7. So that will be my structure for this session going forward. Okay, great. Little introduction about me. Just quick confirmation, because I have another screen. So can you please tell me if you see the screen clearly?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So the little introduction about me, so that you know what I am. Who are all new, they'll know. So my name is Pansaleshwar Nayak again, and close to 2 decades of IT experience, starting from development to cloud deployment, DevOps, and I don't expect to read all those things, but I have worked in full stack, mean stack. I have worked in development of containers. In fact, I'm one of the early developer of container in 2005 when I was part of the Sun Microsystems Solaris team, where we created the containers Solaris zones. So before Docker came into play. So I worked with cloud pretty extensively. So all the cloud native apps, cloud native databases, a public cloud, including AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle. I have worked on Kubernetes as well. I have experience on pre-sales. I have worked on delivery too for large multi-million-dollar projects. I worked for Sun Microsystems full-time with VMware, Sun, EMC, Pivotal, HCL. Last month, I was part of Pure Storage as well. These are the all product companies, except HCL, which is a service company. I have given my LinkedIn. You are welcome to add me, or I'll request you to add too. And I feel happy when I help others to achieve their goals. And I'll be really happy if you achieve your goals, technological goals. Personally, I can help you up to my capacity, but technically I can help you. I used to be karate black belt. I used to teach yoga. I used to teach karate too. That's me. And I have 2 kids, 2 boys, and I live in Edison. That's me. Great. And going forward, about AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional course. So if you go here, the link I'm seeing, I have given a link here. If you follow that, I'll be sharing this with you, this presentation, so that you can take the link, whatever link is available. And I am also planning to give the sample course. I have created this GitHub repository, and okay, helpful links that should go to the next line. I'll just change that. So that's the GitHub repository I have created so that I can share with you any code I'm writing, so that you can see all the codes. And the past and future recordings you can see in this channel. That's my YouTube channel where I put all my recordings. And then recommendation, only one thing I know: practice, practice, and practice. Without practice, you cannot pass this exam. So you may get somewhere some dumps, perfectly fine, just to practice and memorize. But if you don't practice, I doubt if you can pass this exam. So please do practice. And you know that AWS is free for 1 year. You can have your account created and do it free for 1 year. A lot of services are for free, so you can try that. I'll tell you how. If you are new to AWS, I'll tell you how to do that. But you can follow my previous year videos on YouTube just to see how you can start your AWS journey. Okay, so that's a little bit about AWS in general and the certification course, and this course as well. Well, I'll introduce you to DevOps here a little bit before we jump into AWS DevOps professional course. Those who are all new, this will be quite useful for them. Here I'm introducing a problem. And what is the problem? You know that if you're into DevOps, development and deployment testing, then at least somewhere you are here, right? So you know that when the business have an idea, the business, what they do. So they come up with a problem and they give that engineering to solve it through some solution. So that they write code, they do designing, coding, testing, everything, and finally they give it to operation for deployment, right? So that's typical, sometimes waterfall model also, which you may be aware of. But what is the problem with this approach? You see here, The two problems I have mentioned here is quite significant in terms of their importance. First of all, when we have this approach, it takes a long time before the system is actually in production. And when the business has got a problem, and when actually they get the solution and the product is in actually in production, the product, that's too much a delay in that, right? So sometimes maybe 1 year, after 2 years, then the time it is actually in production and used by a end user, that time the actual problem might be solved, or it may be the definition of the problem might be changed from today to 1 year or 2 years. So the effectiveness of the product is diminished. The second problem is when we actually get, after suppose user gets to run the application, and when they want to give the feedback is actually takes again another long time. And so the actual problem versus the feedback versus the output is completely sometimes mismatched. And these are some of the actual problem with this problem that we business has the idea, they give it to engineering, after finishing the product, they give it to operation. So what is the solution? So this is Agile methodology came into being. So you know that Agile methodology is a very test-driven framework, and it is very robust. And now also people use it, and with a lot of benefits. We all know it. I'm not going to talk more about Agile, but again, Agile, I want to again put another problem. What Agile brings, what pros and cons Agile brings. We know that Agile solves all these problems, what we discussed in the previous slide, but it also brings some more problems. What is the problem? See here, we have iterations, right? We have every iteration in the Agile methodology, a small problem is solved, and that is being deployed, and then another problem is solved, that is being deployed, another problem is solved, that is being deployed. So each big problem is it is divided into smaller problems, smaller solutions, and being deployed in iterations. That is what we call the sprint planning. Then what happens in the sprint during planning phase? If you are already in that, you know that all the business is mostly involved in the design process sometimes also. And during the sprint review, then also sometimes business is also getting involved because they want to see that it is properly deployed. So I have seen in my career that during each sprint planning and sprint review, even if sometimes the CTO comes and sit in our meeting, because it is required that he should know that exactly what is going on, right? So they found that, the business found that it is pretty intensive for them to every 15 days to come and sit in the meeting and just see what is going on. So, and what is another problem again, from the operation perspective, they see that operation guys, they see that, oh, every 15 days we have to deploy it. A new problem is coming every 15 days, right? So they see that, oh, another release, come on, a lot of work. So the actual work increased for them. So due to these two factors, business and operations quite opposed to the idea of Agile. Without, okay, one condition, without DevOps. Still now I have not introduced DevOps. Without DevOps, you see, business has to be intensively work with engineering, and also operation has to work intensively with the engineering. So it is a lot of work for everybody. That's the reason DevOps came to solve those problems. How we can minimize the work for the business as well as the operation with introduction of DevOps. Precisely, DevOps was created to address those problems so that the business they don't have to sit in every meeting, so that they can, using tools, they can get the information what they want. The operation team also, they don't have to do a lot of work in every 15 days, because it will be done by some tools. So that's the solution. That is DevOps. And you know that engineering is always measured the throughput, and operation is always measured through the stability of the system. So DevOps bring throughput to engineering, and DevOps brings stability to operation. Because the more number of cycles and more number of features we released in one sprint, that is the throughput. So that is being measured by engineering is being measured by the throughput. How many releases they have in once or per day, how many builds they have per day, those kind of things. Operation, how stable is the system is, that defines their success. And DevOps bring these two, throughput into engineering and stability to operation. Okay, this is a DevOps definition I brought from internet. This is by Judge Humble. If you know that, yeah, he's a public figure for DevOps. You can find him on Google if you Google his name. He is one of the prominent personality on DevOps. So here he has given this definition: a cross-functional community of practice dedicated to the study of building, evolving, operating, rapidly changing, secure, resilient system at scale. So each word is very important here. It's a building, evolving, operating, rapidly changing, secure, resilient system at scale. So it's easy to remember these words, so that will be actually, when we'll be talking, each tool will be actually somehow will be related to these words. Okay. Today, people are again talking another thing called, I thought of putting this slide, DevSecOps. So we were talking about development and operation, but we are not talking about security, because that is one of the important things today in the cloud world. So security in every step, every stage of DevOps, how security can be implemented. So when we implement security at all the stages of DevOps, that's what we call DevSecOps. That means during planning, coding, building, testing, release, deploy, operate, and monitor at every stage, how we can do that with security in mind. That means during planning, we'll think about security. During coding, developers will think about security. During building of the code, we'll still think about security, how the code will be secured, how the artifacts will be secured. Testing team also will think security in mind to test the system. Release, when you will release, obviously the artifacts where we're saving the artifacts, those also it has to be secured. Deploy, how securely it can be deployed so that it works in, with data being secured, application being secured, network being secured, storage being secured. Operation, during operational phase, how security can be implemented. And monitoring, during monitoring also, how can we monitor anybody, like all the applications are running in a secure way, data is actually secured. If any intrusion happened during operation, all these things being monitored too. So how we, that's what is DevSecOps. Each stages security is being implemented. Great. Just thought of putting this slide here. If you see here, this all DevOps movement was actually started by Amazon long back in 2001, around 2001 and 2, when Jeff Bezos issued a mandate. You read it here, you can find it actually on Google. Steve Yeager's platform ranked. If you search on Google, you'll find this. all teams, this is the mandate they actually, Jeff Bezos gave, all teams will henceforth expose their data and functionality through service interface. Teams must communicate with each other through those interfaces. There will be no other form of inter-process communication allowed. I have to change that. No direct linking, no direct reads of another team's data store, no shared memory model, no backdoor whatsoever. The only communication allowed is via service interface call over the network. It does not matter what technology they use, HTTP, CORBA, publish, PubSub, custom protocols, doesn't matter. Bezos doesn't care. All service interfaces without exception must be designed from ground up to be externalizable. This is to say the team must plan and design to be able to expose the interface to developers in the outside world, no exceptions. Anyone who does not do this will be fired. See how strictly he implemented DevOps and security, of course, so that everything will be service oriented. There where the cloud started. Everything will be exposed through service. And well, there today. This started in 2001 and 2. Great. So this is, I thought, will give a good introduction to our DevOps journey here. Anybody have to ask anything before we jump into AWS? Here's the time. If you have some question, please do ask. Okay. If you don't have, I'll move ahead. Now, introduction about the certification exam. If you're not planning, don't worry, still we'll have a lot of things to cover. If you're planning to write the exam, this is for you. If you're not planning, don't worry about it. But it makes sense for you to learn every step here, all the domains. You see here.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you in between. I have a small question. My name is Pragya. Yeah. So currently I'm working for Franklin Templeton, and we are having Microsoft Azure. So, but I'm I would like to do some certification in AWS. So how it will helpful in my organization? Do you think it will help me?
Okay, you asked the final one, how it will help your organization. I'm sorry, because I don't know your organization and projects much. I cannot answer that, but I'll tell you how we can help you. That's I can answer. Organization, I don't know your organization nor the project. If they're using Azure, how this will help you. I don't know, but how it will help you, I can tell you that. Okay. So because this is a concept, first of all, most of them will be DevOps concept and how it will be implemented on AWS platform, right? So that means we'll be using mostly all the DevOps specific tools. So it will make sense for you to have a mapping of all the DevOps tools from AWS to Azure. In fact, Azure has, I know Azure DevOps too, so I have worked on those. So Azure has a set of tools, okay? Also for doing the same thing, how the code will be built, code commit, code build. It is in AWS is different, in Azure is different. Maybe I can have a one-on-one with you sometimes to tell you exactly how you can map those tools, AWS tool with Azure. But this course, I'll be focusing mostly on AWS. Okay.
Yeah.
Hope you answer. I answer your question.
Yeah, Pankaj, sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I cannot help you on company-wide because that is Azure. I don't know a lot of things, right? Yeah. So on your company. Yeah. Okay, great. So here you can see that we'll jump back to AWS here. First one is the SDLC automation. That is a 20%, 22%. If you see here, this is where we'll be learning all the tools, all the DevOps tools, which is used for AWS. all others, if you see here, almost 78% is very AWS specific. You see here. So maybe if you think that if you just know some DevOps tools, you can pass AWS exam, that's not. I just want to tell you that. I think somebody called me yesterday to tell that if just knowing code commit, code build, code pipeline, and that's all, it is not. It is only 22% of the exam. See, all others like configuration management, infrastructure as code, monitoring in AWS environment, logging, policies, standard automation, incident reporting, event response, high availability, and fault tolerance, disaster recovery, all this, almost 78% of the exam is AWS specific, right? So what's your name? You asked this question. Sorry, I cannot see.
Pragya.
Pragya, okay. See, you see here, only 22% difference. You'll find the tool difference between AWS and Azure. All others here actually from domain 2 to domain 6, all are AWS specific. Okay, but similar, you will find also on Azure, everything here, how it will be configured management will be done on Azure. That you have to find, that is another course altogether. And maybe next year I'll conduct it again on Azure, but I think this year let's focus on AWS, okay? If you intend to, but it will help you. Any cloud concept will definitely help. If you know Azure, it will not be too difficult.
Okay.
And we'll focus on AWS, domain 1 specific here. That is the SDLC automation. Okay, and that's where we're going to focus today. And here, this is again there on. I just copied it from AWS website. Although if you go to the exam website, what they're covering in the SDLC automation, I just copied it from there. You'll find it. We'll see it once I go to my console. Okay. Let me finish this presentation, then directly we'll go to console and see how we can start. Okay. Slowly, I'm going to AWS specific tools. So when you join and log into AWS and you search developer tools, these are the tools you will find there. I have some tools I could not copy because it was not coming in one page. So mostly you'll find all this AWS app config. We'll see that when we do the hands-on. And mostly if you see the developer tools here, code commit, left side, if you see code commit, code artifact, code build, code deploy, code pipeline. There is another one called code star here. If you see here, ground code star, right? So here, code star. So that's something I'll also cover. We'll focus now on code commit. So today's session will be covering code commit, and directly I will log into my AWS environment. I'll stop my presentation here. I'll jump into the Cloud Console. Okay, so please ask any question again if before we go to our console. Any question?
Hey, Nayak, this is Mahesh.
Yes.
So this tool we are going to talk about, the code commit, is part of the SDLC automation of the domain. Is it part of it?
Yes, right. So I'm going to show that I'll talk extensively on that too, what it is. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So am I still sharing my screen?
No.
No? Okay. Now can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So here, who are all new, I'll spend 5 minutes for who are all new to AWS. If you are already old, you safely you can ignore. But if you are new, how you log into AWS? This is my browser, aws.amazon.com. Directly you can go to AWS Cloud. And here, AWS gives for new users, it gives 1 year for free. So there is a called free tier. You can use AWS Cloud for 1 year for free. Okay, there is some limitation, of course, applies, but pretty much a lot of things you can do for free. And here you can sign into the console. Okay, so when you log in, you knew it will be appearing, anything can appear here because I'm not new, so here, but you can go to the service and you see here, go to always left side. If you see here the services, click there, and here the developer tools. If you see here the developer tools, and just click all the tools what are required for the DevOps, it will come here, developer tools. So I'm talking about the code commit here. I'll talk about that. But otherwise also, there is another way. You can search, just type code commit. You see here, this is code commit. So you can click on that. And you can have your, this is actually like, what is code commit? Let's talk about that a little bit. You asked it what it is. So I'm just going to explain what is code commit. Have you used GitHub anytime? Git, anybody?
Yeah.
So who asked the question now? Sorry, I forgot the name.
Pragya.
No, after that, code commit.
It's Mahesh.
Yeah, Mahesh, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Mahesh. So have you used GitHub anytime? GitHub?
Yes, we do it. We do use it for the deployment.
I'm sorry, I don't know any of you, so please don't mind if I'm asking silly questions, but just wanted to understand. Okay, so if I use GitHub, this is actually GitHub for AWS internal. Okay, so like github.com or like Bitbucket if you have used. So this is a paid account. There you are doing, if you are having GitHub paid account or Bitbucket paid account or GitLab paid account, something like here. This is also a service which AWS gives to save your code, all the code repository, to create your code repository. Okay, so here, same thing. Once you log in, go to code commit, you can create a repository. So I created already a pet clinic. Some 8 days ago, I created, I was fine. I was mentally preparing for this session, so I thought, let me create one. So here, what I'll do is, let me create, and I have a pet clinic. I don't know how to delete it, but let me create a repository here, create repository. And you can give something AWS DevOps test or training. Okay, one. Give some description. And if you want to give a tag, up to you. I'll give some name. This is not mandatory, it's optional one. But if you want to see your chargeback, where it is charged, how much it charged, and if it is an enterprise account, where you want to show your how the cost is involved with the different accounts, maybe you would like to have all the tags given. Okay, so here we don't enable that for the time being. Just forget it. What is this code guru? It's a reviewing system, but it is optional. We don't enable that, and just create it. So you see here, I created a code repository, which is actually Git compliant. That means it must use Git Client. And the how many ways you can communicate, you can use HTTPS, you can use SSH, and you can use HTTPS GRC. So we'll be talking about just HTTPS and SSH. Mostly these are the two ways people use it normally. So here you see here, this gives the clone. This is the path. This is the clone URL. You can get it here, or you can, once when you create it, you get the URL here. You see here, the command is git clone. And it's important just to remember in the exam, sometimes they may ask this URL format, how it is actually. You see here, it is git hyphen code commit dot which region you are creating. So it is git hyphen code commit is dot the region, then Amazon AWS.com/v1, then the repo and the repository name. Just once you start working, actually, you'll maybe you'll memorize this. So you can recognize how the format is, how it looks like. Then you can copy this, copy it, and you can go to your command prompt. Of course, you need to install Git. I'll not tell you how to install Git. If it is Windows system, you can download Git in Windows. If you are on Linux, okay, I think I'm not sharing my terminal, right? Can you see my terminal or no?
No.
No.
Okay, because I'm sharing only the, I'll just stop sharing, then I'll reshare. I have to share the whole screen now. Okay. This is my terminal. And okay, so this is I created it. You see here it is blank. Okay, so in I'm sure you all are having the Linux experience, so I'll not go into that teaching you Linux or command prompt and do it here. I just wanted to show something. If I do it here, you see here it is asking the username like any other GitHub account. So what do you think your username is? Is it your AWS username? Actually,
yeah, I'm thinking the same.
no,
The root,
it is not. Okay, so I wanted to show you this so that you understand a little bit that your AWS username is not the username, because this is a service inside AWS. So the account you created is to log into AWS services, not the code commit. Code commit is another application inside AWS. So this username is different and you have to create it. So for that, I wanted to show the difference. If you are already using GitHub, you may be seeing that it's simple, but here, what you have to do is go back to AWS account, and there is something called IAM. IAM. This is where you actually manage all the users. So, and obviously when you are on AWS, there will be, you should have already the permissions to manage your own account. So here, if you go to users, and here, this is me, P. Nayak, and I can create my credentials. So that is when you are using your code commit account and you are authorized to do that, then you will be also having this permission, you can do it. So go to IAM and security credential tab. If you see here, security credential tab, this is, I'm going to remove all these keys for now, obviously, because this is being recorded, or you can take snapshot also, but I'm going to change it immediately after this session. But this is the access key, okay? And what you need to do, you go down, if you see here, HTTP Git credential for AWS code commit. Do you see it? If you are already having an account, you can actually do with me. Whoever you have, you can log into AWS and you can, in fact, generate the user here. Let me delete it here at this point. Action, I'll delete because this is a account I created already. Let me put that here, deactivate. So you cannot play with my account. So here, you see here, code commit, AWS HTTPS Git credential for AWS code commit. So generate a credential here. And now once you generate, you see here, you get a username. Just copy this, or you can download the credential also. Okay, so I'll download to my download folder or desktop. Or what I'll do is I'll put into desktop. So now that's it. So if I open this, it gives me the username and password. So take this as the username and put it here. That it will ask the password. Take this as the password. Okay, so what it tells me now, you see here, you appear to have cloned an empty directory, which is true because I have not done anything on that. I have nothing in code commit. Now you can go back to code commit. Once you do that, it is logged in, go back to code commit. You see here, this is the AWS training one, right? And after that, every other thing is similar to, you see here, this is the folder, this is the directory created, right? So this is the directory got cloned. So I'll go to inside the directory, and here, what I can do is echo, or let me have a vi readme.md. If you know GitHub, this is a test. Now, git add dot git. I hope you are familiar with the git command.
Yes.
So now you see here in the repository, I have my README. This is a test. Okay. So what I did is I created a repository. I logged in from here and I created a file. So I can now open my code, Visual Studio Code, and I can edit it. This is the test, right? This is one I created. So if you have Visual Studio Code, you can edit it, and now you, in fact, directly it can upload whatever you change, you do, you commit, you can do it here. You can configure. This is another course. This is another session altogether. I'll tell you sometimes how to set up your code, Visual Studio Code. Maybe sometimes next session, I'll tell you how to set up this so that you directly can work from here. Okay. So that's code commit, by the way. Similar way, if you see here, I I downloaded a Pet Clinic Java application. You can find it. In fact, it's a microservice, I think, Spring Boot application, Pet Clinic. This one. I download this and I cloned it. So the same thing, whatever it is, I have it here. Same thing, I upload it here. First, I cloned it locally. This one, I cloned it locally, and then I pushed it here. I again pushed it here. Same thing. And so that next time what I'll do is, sorry, I'll do the Pet Clinic here, because I'm going to build it using code build. Okay, so that will be a good example just to show you how the code build works. So we'll be working on the Pet Clinic application going forward. This is a Java Spring Boot application. Okay, so I intend to cover this much today because this is starting. I wanted to spend some time with you all to understand you a little bit and your requirements, so that I come prepared next time little effectively what you were expecting. I saw many of you didn't fill out the form, which is fine, Google form, but if you can, we'll take some time introducing ourselves. Okay, I have a question. While creating AWS account, which option should I select? Basic, free? Yeah, you select the question somebody asked, Sailendra Pathi. While creating AWS account, which option should I select? Basic, free, developer, business. Choose basic, free. That's the answer. You don't need developer. You create the free one. Is it clear?
That's clear. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, Sailendra, if you can start, tell about you. So, what is your expectation from this session?